And so it is, little ones. Guess what? Second chakra. All right. Everything that's going on is tantalizing second chakra to release whatever is left over. It may have shown itself as sexuality during your life, but sensuality is a primary aspect. And the sensing body has increased or almost doubled in size for everyone that we're seeing that's on this telephone call today because of the expansion of the aura. And the second chakra is the primary chakra that can take energy in from your universe. All right. So you may think the heart chakra is important, takes energy in because it is a receptor, but not necessarily is that the primary. All right. So second chakra, creativity, the home of the body, especially in the female, and the home of the soul for the particular duration of an incarnation. So giving yourself permission to recognize that your sensuality has developed over many different life cycles, and the sexuality aspect has been bombarded by whatever the information is in the outer world. So the combination of having sensuality, but sexuality being the primal aspect of self, and having that bombarded, it's almost like the pillars got knocked out from underneath your substantialness in this creative life of yours. So the pillars of the second chakra would be the part of self that transfers or translates the image of oneself into a creative force, but also into the aspect of yourself that is strong. All right. So second chakra is a very strong chakra. It very much governs a lot of the life, especially through puberty, on through the first years of adulthood, especially. It's a way in which the humanity, the drive, the creation, co-creation energy is lifted up into this reality. So until it is lifted up into the reality through a physical body, it's just formless. All right. So formless sexuality, that doesn't say a whole lot, does it? It's as though you want to take your sexuality and do something with it, to express it, to feel it, to be able to move that energy, to be able to be receptive to that energy, which is mostly what has happened, has been bombarded. So the pillars of light that hold up your second chakra have had bombarded and bamboozled from underneath them the support system for your sexuality. All right. So sexuality, it's we like that X on there because it's like X marks the spot. So right in the center of the sexuality aspect of oneself is the creative ability. Now, also in this last few years or many different centuries as you look at it, there have been so many instructions, so much mental activity that has been included in the training or the creation on the physical plane of the second chakra, that the bombarding and the bamboozling that happens knocks the pillars out, and so there can be sexuality that is perverted. All right. And so perverted is, it's a harsh word at this moment, but guess what? Most of the things that are happening about sexuality are perverted from a point of view of the intellect, because the intellect is trained in a way. So it doesn't mean perverted is bad. It just means not as it is in truth, in absolute of yourself. So the absolute of yourself is a creative being with lots of energy that has the ability to recreate itself over and over and over again. Where are you with how it is you're recreating yourself right now? That's an interesting question, because this is absolutely, and the Lion's Gate is sitting right there in the doorway. It's absolutely the part where the fiery part of oneself can come in and do a transforming experience. So you want to be able to, without judgment and with the freedom and your creativity, allow the transformation that has been set up for you. So a creative being has the ability to create as many types of life cycles as they want, from death and birth and incarnation. But in a particular life cycle, you also have an immense amount of ability to recreate yourself the way you image yourself. But unfortunately, the limitations happen because of the impressions of history. All right, so memory. Memory is, we're going to just say out straight, it can be a big problem for the human. If the memory and the intellect are very strong, there can be very little growth that goes on in that life cycle. So we suggest to each and every one, whatever it is that you're remembering that may be sitting heavy on your head, or hard on your belly, or giving your sexuality a run for its money, we want you to practice letting it go, walking away from it, dropping it, letting it fly away like a balloon, hot air balloon, whatever it is you want to picture. Just do that particular aspect of yourself and realize that what you're letting go of is what has been holding you back, because your incarnation is been crippled by the designated, what is this word, when people talk in a certain way, narrative. Oh, that word is so overused. The designated narrative, and if you look at it, it's as though people have fallen into the acceptance, because if it gets said enough, if it gets talked about enough, it becomes a reality, and some people take it on as a truth, and then the danger being they take it on as their truth. All right, so that's what's been happening. There's been a push from the darker side of your creation in the reality to push you into an acceptance of the darker nature of oneself. But of course, dark and light, or however you want to put that, both are useful. But to be caught on either side of the scales of justice or on the seesaw, it's not fun. All right, so you don't want to get stuck on one particular side of the seesaw. Giving yourself also permission to be in a new creative mix, which means more people in your life, more people. Different people that have different perspectives and ways in which they present, and to practice letting go of whatever it is. Every human that is moving into this higher level of consciousness has a really hard time for a period of time with being with humans. All right, other humans, because those humans are learning about themselves, and so they're not predictable either. So the unpredictability of interactions is really causing others to stay away from bothering to interact, and also the fear comes into play. You've heard enough about fear in the last while, so we don't really have to talk about it, just to recognize it and be able to deal with the rabbit hole or the path or the mental body that goes in the direction toward that fear, that keeps allowing that fear to be continually redistributed. It's as though, oh yes, let's put it here and see how well we do with it, and let's move it over there and see how well it does where we are. So it's the combinations of all the factors coming together, and second chakra is taking a beating. All right, so if you're having bladder problems, or you're having digestive problems, or you're having and the sexuality of course fits in with that, but basically it has to do with the digestion, the production of what is called chyme. Chyme, in the medical terms, is digestive fluids. All right, so you want to be able to alter how it is you digest your world now. You can't digest this world with the enzymes or the ideas that you had 2 years ago. It just doesn't work. You've had all this period of time to be able to redistribute your attention and bring into your life those factors, people, information that helps it to be more digestible. All right, tolerable is another word, but digestible. So now we're coming to the elimination aspect of all that. So if you've eaten a really big meal and it was digesting, some of it digested well, too many mixtures of too many different foods for one thing, but too many ideas, too many strong ideas tends to overshadow the natural instinct of the body. So you want to keep working with that. Now, what is my body telling me? You've done it before, you can do it again, and you don't want to ignore what it is your body wants to give you for information. All right, so the God speaks through the physical body with all those receptors and all those principles and all those aspects of being in the physical body and being designed to be a transmitter of energy. be able to pick it up, transisting the energy, and to be able to move toward elimination. What do you not want? So that's where this particular moment is. It's what do you not want in your field, in your reality anymore. So we're going to quickly just take on fear, because most people would say, I don't want to have fear in my life. Well, fear is healthy on some level, don't step in front of a truck, and don't eat poison, and don't jump into a river if you can't swim, all those things. And so it is fear that plays a certain role in that. But to be able to spot the fears, be able to notice where the fear is lodging itself in the body, mostly in the energetic field, right? But it can also lodge itself into your mental body, which means in the brain. And some people find that they are number one, trying to avoid certain subjects or certain issues. And in avoiding certain subjects, certain issues, there becomes a box, a screened-in porch, so to speak. You can see out, but you're protected from what's coming in, so you don't let yourself fully engage in what it is you're perceiving, all right? This is useful, but to be on guard all the time means that you'll be missing some of the finer points, some of the, if you're eating a beautiful meal and you decide I don't want any garlic, you're going to be missing a really big pungent aspect of your meal, or salt, which is the fiery aspect, or all the different ingredients that go to making perfection, which are all the tastes that you have in your body, which go with the earth and the water and the fire and the ethers and the air qualities, all right, for your body. And all those have a flavor. And they have a mental flavor as well, all right? Too much thinking, too much going on creates an excess of air element in the body. And that air element is the one that makes one forgetful or dizzy, all right? Forgetful or dizzy. Too much action, too much activity. All right, so it's not like there's something really wrong. It's just like there's too much of a buzz, so to speak, and that's a danger at this point in time. Too much information, too much concentration, too much focus on a very narrow aspect of the reality. And it introduces once again the fear in the moment, right? So this is what we say there. All right, so we keep focusing. This is about 3 weeks now that we're focusing on how it is that you're processing your own personal baggage, or your own personal accumulation of what it is that's been guiding your life all these years. All right, all these years. Without knowing it, you have been guided by the perceptions and the overlays and the overshadowing of other people. A lot of that is geared to what your karma was all about and why you came. That's why the parents are the parents that you have. And that primary influence is not to be followed and to be honored, etc. It's to be overcome. So we shall overcome, right? That's a great call in many of the spiritual parts of the world. We shall overcome, all right? And that's your job. It's to overcome the limitations of the incarnation. So if you're born with an astrological sign and has positive and negative parts to it, your idea here is you're going to be in the next astrological sign in the next incarnation for the most part. So you want to get past those negatives. Scorpio, it has secretive aspects of itself, just for instance. So if one continues to be in the secrecy part of self, they are harboring the negative aspect of the Scorpio astrology, and so they will have tests in that area, right? So being one with all is unity consciousness, of course. So Scorpio has a little extra trouble with that. We just wanted to say that because you're Scorpio here. And all those other energies that are overlaying are part of an intricate play in the universe of not only personality types, but the consciousness and the composition of consciousness that goes together to make up your reality. So if, let's say, there are, 6 people we're talking with at this point in time, and then we have this energy of who remembers what and who's going where and who appreciates or who disregards, all those things, they all come into play. So even in a group like this, where everyone is on their little computer page, it's interplaying, it's overlaying, it's interlacing on levels that you can't tell. So each one of you knows who the other person is, and guess what? You can feel their feelings. You're not looking for it. It's not something that you're coveting, no. But you can feel their feelings, and you can imagine, if you put your attention on it, about all that. Or it can just become part of your unity consciousness or your awareness, all right? So awareness doesn't necessarily mean you're going to speak it. It doesn't mean it's going to formulate into a whole picture or a story or a dialogue. It's not, or monologue. It doesn't have to do that. But the perceptions are there. So know that you have a magical system. Your whole body, mind, spirit is what you could call magical. Very, very powerful. And for this time, each week we talk about something. So we've talked about, let's have some second chakra awareness. What is happening? Some of that spills over into the third chakra. So if people are having digestive problems, or they're feeling as though their life is out of control, etc., or anxiety that lodges itself in the digestive system. And in this particular moment, digestive system also includes elimination. All right, so that's the bladder and that's the colon at this point in time. Other facets of that as well. But the combinations of food affect the colon, etc., and the ability to digest is overrun by the way in which one's emotional body is functioning in the moment. Yes, and then also the part of oneself that is astrological or cosmic or whatever, it has many different added influences that you can't tabulate. You can't say, oh, this is affecting me, etc. Sometimes in the dreams will give you many different ways in which you can look at a particular situation, especially if you ask. You'll be given information, and it's coded, to be able to uncode your own way in which you're tricking yourself through the mental body and through the emotions and through the dream machine that goes on inside of self. It's tricky, and it's interesting, but don't get too lost in it. It's not that important. It's just a matter of staying present. That's the most important.